and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. Hope you all are having a wonderful holiday today. And in today's video, we need to talk about a huge victory that was won for America against their British counterparts. No, I am not talking about America's independence. I, of course, am talking about America's comic books. Because today marks the day that they won a huge battle against those bloody redcoat Pence variants. So in this video, we got to do a little bit of a market report. Interesting sales that happened on Heritage Auctions just the other day with back-to-back American price comic books and Pence price comic books. And the discrepancy between those prices is very, very interesting to talk about. And then later on in the video, I want to talk just a little bit about Pence variants, my thoughts on them, and kind of recap some of the other things that I've talked about in previous videos where we talked about Pence variants and foreign comic books. But before I get into it, if you guys could drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, helps support the channel, doing those things, I would appreciate it. But let us get into this video here today. Now, of course, Heritage Auctions, they always have their weekly comic book auctions. If you guys happen to know, they're always selling Golden Age and Silver Age and Bronze Age books over the course of the weekend. And just the other night, we actually had two Grail Silver Age books sell back to back, one of which was the American regular price copy, and then the other one was actually the Pence copy. And I thought these were very, very interesting to talk about because flash forward to the reveal to the end here, the American copy on a pound for pound, grade for grade comparison sold a lot higher than the Pence counterpart. So here you have two copies of Journey into Mystery number 83. First one here is a 1.0 qualified copy that has a centerfold married, coupon missing on the back cover, and piece missing from that married centerfold. So a 1.0, technically complete, although it is qualified, and you can see the sold price of $3,240, just about the floor entry price into this book, which again makes me happy about my Journey into Mystery purchase that I had just the other week, where I got mine for $2,900. And then here you have the next sale that came just after it in a CGC 1.5 copy. This one, of course, being a blue label, a complete copy, but a Pence variant. As you can see right there in the upper left corner, the 9D symbol means that this was made for the UK market. And you can see the sold price for this one, only $3,600. Now, I know what you're thinking, Swag. Well, technically, this did sell for more than that of the green label counterpart, except usually, when we're talking about sales for these types of books and, the comparables and how much they should be selling for based on the grade, being that this is a 0.5 grade less than the blue label one, and it is also a qualified grade, usually means that this type of book might sell for 50% the value, 30% the value, a lot less than that of a couple $100 difference. And ultimately, what it seems like to me is that there are people out there that would still rather have a green label incomplete copy than to have their Journey into Mystery have that 9D symbol on it, because a lot of people have a bias against the Pence variant copies. Now, later on in the video, we're going to talk about sort of the history of the Pence stuff in case you guys don't know about them, and how maybe there's an argument to be made that people should be paying more for Pence copies. But I think there's a reason for that, and I will talk about it at the end of the video. But before I get to that point, let me just show you guys quickly the other two sales that happened back to back. And if you're someone who isn't convinced with the Journey into Mystery 83 one, well, we have these two sales right here in X-Men number 1 in a CGC 1.5 grade, regular American price copy. And then we have another one here, the UK edition, also in a CGC 1.5 grade copy. And what do we see the sold prices for? Well, the first one, the American one, went for $4,320 at auction. And the second one, the UK edition, sold for a whopping $1,000 less at $3,360. Now, you could make the argument that the US copy is a lot better presenting at the 1.5 grade, but I mean, at this point, it's roughly about the same. I mean, I will agree that this one is a little more beat up, but you wouldn't expect it to sell for 25% of the value, $1,000 less. And this one right here, for what it's worth, actually has white pages in comparison to this one right here, which has off-white pages. But pretty interesting to see that. And I think that this has everything to do with the actual bias that is against the Pence copies. Now, there's a whole article right here that I'm going to link in the description if you guys want to do some reading about Pence copies and the history of them. This is a really, really good breakdown that talks a lot about their history. But the one important thing to point out is that the Pence copies were actually printed at the same time as that of the American counterparts. In fact, they were actually printed first and then shipped out to the UK so that they can match, the time frame in which all these copies would be hitting the newsstand. So a lot of people always talk about how the Pence copies, in theory, should be as valuable as that of their American comic book counterparts. But that doesn't seem to be the case, at least anecdotally speaking, because usually when you see these sort of back-to-back sales, or if you follow, books out there on eBay, even if there's not back-to-back sales or consignment pages, there is just definitely less demand for the Pence copies in general. They typically just sell for a little bit less. And in the case of those, back-to-back auctions, we actually saw that they sold for a decent amount less in the X-Men case. And then I would say that the Journey to Mystery 83 case, it feels like the Blue Label one should have sold for a decent amount more, but it only went for a couple $100s more, even though the American one was technically a qualified copy. So really interesting to see those sales back to back. And what do we think about Pence copies here? What do we make of it? I would say that it seems apparent that there just is a bias against them, even though they were printed at the same time and they are technically more rare, because obviously to fulfill the UK market, you didn't need as many copies as you did for the American market. So there is less of them out there. And typically in the comic book market, anytime you see a price variant or a newsstand copy or some kind of Whitman variant or Mark Jewelers or whatever, a thing that makes this particular copy more rare, you usually do see those sell for a premium, but it's not something that we see in the Pence copies. And I think that has mostly to do with just the types of collectors that are chasing the Silver Age and the Golden Age books. It's my supposition that if you're somebody out there who's just sort of looking to collect some of these, classic American comic books in the Golden Age and Silver Age, you just have that bias for, wanting to have the American printed copy. That's not to say that the Pence copies shouldn't be valuable and that they aren't more rare. I mean, there's definitely a place for the Pence copies to have a lot of value. And I'm starting to think that, when we look at the Pence copies and we look at the foreign books, we do start to see a lot of premiums for a lot of the foreign comic books, depending on the situation, depending on the book. There's a lot of thematic ties where someone may want a first appearance of Black Widow as a Russian variant, and that makes a lot of sense. Someone may want the Pence copy version of Captain Britain #1. Thematically, that's actually really cool to see that. Or there might be certain situations where, getting a foreign comic book actually is so rare. Getting a random ASM book that is printed in, wherever, South America, it's so rare, it's so unique that there is a subset of collectors that would like to have that particular copy. But I do think that in the, particular comparison of the American Silver Age stuff to that of the Pence Silver Age stuff, I do feel like there is clearly a bias. And for the time being, there is going to be more of a premium on the regular copies until maybe one day the market starts to learn more about the Pence copies. They read articles like the ones I put in the description, and over time, the culture shifts to where people do appreciate the Pence copies. But until then, this is America, baby, not in our house. American comic books winning a big battle today. USA, USA. Don't sell your Pence copies on America's birthday. That's my lesson for today. Anyways, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Pence copies and foreign comic books? On the one hand, I do think that they are very, very interesting. On the other hand, I can totally understand if people just don't like them. They want like the normal comic book. But there's definitely a subset of collectors that really, really do enjoy them. And I can definitely see the appeal if you're into collecting the really, really unique and rare comics. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. I got to go head to the beach, crack some beers open, and listen to Hulk Hogan music now. I'm just kidding. You guys know that I'm just going to shit for the rest of the day. Anyways, that's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video.